Nurture. It is essential to a child's growth and well-being. It is the process of caring for and encouraging the development of someone or something. It is what bonds a child to their mother, even before it can speak, because it is a language that may be conveyed without words. It is something that every human being has benefited from during a period or even several periods in their lives. But nurture also has a dangerous aspect, and with women's liberation, it has become the elephant in the room, a characteristic that allows the assumed nurturer to easily deceive others. This side of nurture is not a secret, but in this modern day society, it travels amongst us, unabashed and unconcerned. In fact, it has been used as a cloak of protection by various leftist ideologies and political groups. This is a subject that many are hesitant to speak on in public, but being that it is used of late as a weapon, it becomes something we cannot avoid. Let us talk about the dark side of nurture. With nurture comes assumed virtue, where there's the natural assumption of good or innocence. This is a powerful aspect of the feminine principle. This, along with other benefits, are not at all tallied in the equation of gender equality. There are also differences in prison sentences, the homeless population, the suicide rate, and other so-called inequalities where men appear to have the shorter end of the stick. From this aspect, one might see that modern feminism has become more like cherry picking than a fight for equality. But ingrained in most men is the heart for protecting women and children, and it's been this way since the birth of humanity. It's even considered a man's duty, one where he is to place his life on the line. And of course, feminism will do very little to acknowledge that. In earlier times, women were moderated, not just by men, but by the matriarchs. These were seniors who have learned with time how order is invaluable to the stability of a society. Today, leftists have reversed norms, making it a social taboo to criticize anything of the feminine principle, while the masculine principle, or anything masculine, is considered toxic, outdated, and sexist. And there are plenty of women who will not hesitate to let you know how much they've bought into this mainstream media campaign. Leftists practice backwardsness, inverting the position of the natural hierarchy. While we see modern life as normal, it is only a speck when compared to how life has been for hundreds, if not thousands of years. What is occurring today in relationships is no different than what has happened in the past. There were issues of trust, how to raise children, indifference, and jealousy. However, the options people had then were limited. Cultural Marxists destroy society by using honey. They offer quick fixes and safety nets, where the person can make whimsical decisions without regret. With this, they avoid the arduous task of building character, which requires a certain amount of discipline and pain. These are the characteristics of the masculine principle, but with the easier pathways, one does not grow internally, and this happiness is temporary, while with order, there is fulfillment. Take the mother, for example. She doesn't want her child to feel pain, so when he's bullied, she goes straight to his teacher, while the father may advise his child, then watches from afar to see how his child handles the problem. It is known that there is fake news being circulated throughout the media. However, when it comes to aspects of femininity, the lies are allowed to remain, untouched by the mainstream. In fact, it has been proven time and time again that there is not a pay gap between men and women, but there are reasons as to why it might appear that way. But the facts have been avoided, and because of this, there are still feminists who are to this day spreading false information about these inequities that are upheld by the so-called patriarchy. Women lying to the public and using an assumed position of meekness is nothing new, and many men have paid the price. It has even become part of mainstream culture for her to cover up for her bad decisions by using deceit.
Around 1:30 Sunday morning, the state trooper pulled over Sharita Dixon Cole on suspicion of drunken driving. During a field sobriety test, the trooper pours out 2 bottles of alcohol he found in her back seat. He places Cole under arrest and asks her to sit in the front seat of his patrol vehicle. Well, this is the point when the woman says the trooper offered to let her go in return for sexual favors. But that exchange is never heard in the video. Hours after her arrest, well-known civil rights activist Shaun King wrote on Facebook and Twitter, this woman was kidnapped and raped by a Texas state trooper.
Where the assumed victim uses lies to coincide with the preconceived narrative. We've also seen examples of this kind of manipulation and even campaigns which bolster ideas of bitterness and revenge. In the family court system, she is even caught in her lies with no penalty or reprimanding. In fact, society stands clear and even incentivizes her to destroy others, as all obstructions against her are met with punishment rather than reward. And these benefits are not natural occurrences, but instead they've been cultivated by sources behind the curtain. For the enemy will also stand amongst these women, utilizing these mechanisms of protection while causing great havoc. Nurture is sometimes misused for situations that aren't appropriate or moral. A son on the run might be hidden in an attic or basement. Gynocentrism means seeing the world through the eyes of the female, but her emotions may blind her to his serial offenses. After all, to her, he's still her baby, and in her view, he is misunderstood. But the love from the masculine principle is different.
Like this, why don't you just give me the money?
And its roots are grounded in truth.
For the love of sweet Jesus, please go.
Boy, didn't I tell you never to set foot in my house again?
It was common for fathers to represent tough love.
Leaving. He's got his money. I ain't going nowhere.
All right. I'll put you out.
He turned his son in to the police so that he may face the consequences for the selfish choices he has made. Of the masculine and feminine principles, one focuses on the internal, or to become, while the other focuses on the external, or the appearance. In other words, one focuses more on conduct, speech, and how one may appear to others, while internal change is the true cultivation of character. The masculine principle consists of these characters. This is true change from within, and this is a requirement if one is to become a person with good character, and it's absolutely required if a boy is to become a man. In fact, in a society where masculinity is demonized while femininity is venerated, over nurture is a threat. Millions of mothers have sons and daughters who have hurt the innocent and who do not follow laws. And politicians on the left have made the situation much worse. By promoting feminine energy while demonizing masculinity, they are promoting chaos over order. Democrats and the left are using this feminine energy and image to destroy order and structure by manipulating their subjects into believing that they are fighting a war against white supremacy. They have cultivated the power of nurture where others assume that they are part of the party of the disenfranchised, and they've engulfed all of their constituents in this feminine nurturing energy, where confused boys become envious seeing the attention that is given to females, even opting to become girls themselves. As for the black community, it is now a matriarchy, with black men now processing their thoughts like women, viewing war and destiny through gynocentrism based on emotion and not purpose and meaning. He cries how life isn't fair in his ignorance. He also coddles criminals based on race and makes excuses for their offenses. What he does not see is that he is part of an exclusive group of men, as no other men on earth carry this distorted logic, where he bends truth according to a person's skin color. Blinded, he's unaware that he's programmed with the exact same mindset of those he holds in contempt most. Feminine nature is more progressive than traditional. Progressivism means change, and change is a characteristic of chaos. In fact, women have been viewed as agents of chaos for hundreds of years, if not longer. In the story of Adam and Eve, we find that Adam was once alone in the Garden of Eden. For how long, we do not know. But what we do know is that sometime after Adam and Eve was created, Eve began to communicate with the serpent. and this serpent did not present itself as a threat, but a figure of favor, as it explained how it can help her achieve greater benefits than the pure blissful existence that was her life. In other words, even while living in heaven where there is only happiness, with not even an idea of what hardship or suffering is, Eve was willing to risk disobeying God for change. With this in mind, wouldn't Eve be the first progressive ever? This profound story is telling of feminine nature, how curiosity and boredom can become her worst enemy, and how order can be altered by chaos. Masculinity is like a rock, while femininity is not a waterfall, but instead, its power lies in its persistence. It is water dripping on that rock steadily, in its own rhythm, hour after hour and year after year. It will eventually compromise the hardest of stones, and with its ongoing persistence, these changes won't stop there. In fact, it will never stop until the system of order is compromised. It's not that these drips are evil. It's not even that there's a hidden agenda. It is that this is its nature, and it will drip. It is up to the stone to harden from within and preserve as much of its traditional value as possible. And it would be wise to not let up, for her strength lies in her ability to appear weak or fatigued, and the serpent is well aware. He uses favor, flattery, and kind words as puppet strings, guiding her every move. Out of her mouth she speaks individualism, strength, and independence, but she is being guided, although she's unaware. And they will continue to use honey over vinegar, as they've made it for her to receive benefits offered in society all along. There's even talk about school loan forgiveness. It would be too obvious to not include men. But if the ratio of loan debt of males to females were reversed, I doubt you'd hear anything about this initiative. The masculine and feminine principles are genderless. It's only that most men are aligned with the masculine, or order, while most women are aligned with the feminine, or chaos. You can observe this in politics, where a great number of women are liberals or progressives, while the majority of men are conservative, or traditionalists. For one to truly change from within, they must cultivate the masculine principle of order to become disciplined, and to an extent suffer by applying self-restraint and not doing what one feels like today in order to reap the benefits tomorrow. Both order and chaos are necessary. Chaos is the birth of change. It is the disruption of any order or system. Change is not always a bad thing, and there are many examples, from a farmer creating chaos by burning his field for a healthier harvest the following season, to the abolition of slavery. There are even greater concepts of chaos, like the implosion of a celestial body, or even the simple changing of one's mind. Now, it may be more clear why cultural Marxists are spreading the feminine principle while demonizing the masculine. It is much easier to lead a people of chaos and confusion than that of order. Nurture is not our enemy. It is our enemy that is weaponizing people, using ideologies and distorting the way we view right from wrong. Universal principles are not likely to change. What has changed is how we understand them. Only in an environment that no longer recognizes the necessity of order does this much confusion occur. So I am delivering this message to men as a wake-up call, and to women who wish to be better people, your efforts are recognized and valued. It appears that a phenomenon has taken place in our universe where people have been repositioned. Those who were considered the most vulnerable appear to have been placed in a position of power, perhaps to see what they will do next. But in the shadows, it's much easier to be dishonest. Truth is eternal, and its path leads to something no different. In fact, we are in an era of rising truth, the return of the masculine principle. Although the path of internal change is most difficult, if followed, your pain will never match the brightness of your future. This is my understanding. What is yours? Please comment below. Like and share if you enjoyed this content. Subscribe and ring the notifications bell so that you'll know when I release my next video. Until next time.